Guys, before we get into the best thing we saw this week, it is week 3 of the state high school football playoffs. I saw a great game last week with Wapak and Shawnee, and I know Wapak won that game big, but a great game. Shawnee played really hard. Just a great game with a rematch in place, something like that.
Yeah, I agree that your game was good.
What question did you just ask? What question did you just ask me?
I'm handing it to you. I'm handing it to you.
And we really can't be that diverse because we worked together last Friday night.
But, listen, as you continue to move throughout this playoff and every game becomes bigger and bigger, you get some of these rematches that we have seen. It was interesting last week. We were all really interested to see how teams coming off of a bye would play. That's the first time they've had to take a week off and then get back at it. I think there were some mixed results in that. There was teams that I think you could clearly see were affected by it, and then it took them a little bit to get going. And then once they did, they were okay. And then some teams, it looked like it didn't affect them at all. They hit the ground running. And also, when you start looking at some of these scores, this whole thing about how there was a bunch of mismatches and we had to go to 12 because, you just saw a bunch of blowouts.
Sure.
There were still plenty of blowouts. And if you look at the games coming up here in week 3, there's a lot of games that are predicted to be absolute blowouts. So I'm not really sure what we're saving by not allowing the, 13 through 16 to play when we know there's 15 and 16 seeds that could have won their first round matchup. But that's just my 2 cents.
I'm going to go opposite of that, Nate, because I like the 12 teams, and I like 1 through 4 have to take the bye, because I don't want to see a 1-12. We have blowouts the way it was, and I don't want to see a 1-12.
But we talked about this last week.
Here we go.
Yeah, but we talked about this last week. Is why, and this is just my whole thing. If we're going to stay with the 112, we're going to have the buys. Okay, that's fine. But why do you have to take it? No other sport in the entire state makes you take the bye. A coach gets to choose. I've earned this. Do I want to take the bye or do I want to play? I don't understand why football is any different. Coaches know their teams. They should get to make that decision. They've earned that.
Football's always been different, though. Football's always been different. I mean, we've had football in 7 divisions. We just now matched up everything else, and that was one of the things they said. We want it to be even. But football is its own animal. In Ohio, let's call a spade, and I like the automatic bye.
Well, let's talk about this, gentlemen. There's one conference in the state of Ohio going into the 3rd round of the playoffs that has 5 teams left.
Jeez, I wonder who.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to really think really hard about this. I might be able to get there.
Yeah, guys. For recovery, Marion Local, Coldwater, St. Henry, Anna, and guys, I'm not real sure any of them's going to lose this week, except
I was like, hold on there, big guy.
Except somebody in the Fort Recovery Marion Local game.
Correct.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? That's unbelievable when people from around the state look at that and go, 5 teams in the 3rd round?
Well, it's what we talked about all year. It's the strength of that conference. You look at a team like Coldwater, who had a quote-unquote down year. They are a 5 seed, and they are favored heavily this week to win their game against the 1 seed. It's that iron sharpens iron mentality. And when you talk about the MAC, that's all that is. That is iron sharpening iron, making each other better, getting better week after week after week. And ultimately, that's all that matters. You need to be getting. You don't have to win all your games. You just have to win the right games. And that's what the MAC is doing right now. And you're seeing them win in dominant fashion. This is why they are they are the best small school conference in the entire state. And we're in line to have multiple MAC schools yet again down in the Final Four and playing for state titles.
Yeah, I had Coldwater and Covington on WSN week 11, and I did get a chance to talk to Coach Otten before the game. And I said, Coach, best 6-4 team in the state of Ohio. And he said, yeah, and a couple plays here or there, we could be 8-2, 9-1, maybe even 10-0, but we're not. And we do need to keep working at getting better. And we know what's in front of us, and we're excited about the opportunity. And I think they're the favorite to win D6.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
Unbelievable. All right, guys, it's the Diamond Dave Bowen best thing we saw this week. How do I start out with not giving it to Dave? It's named after him.
Right?
It's
the namesake. We got him in studio.
And I appreciate that because, again, Nate and I had the same game last Friday night. It was Columbus Grove versus Gibsonburg. And that's the first time I've seen Columbus Grove live this year. Just so impressed with their skill positions. You look at Trevin Baxter, obviously, great with the jet sweep. They run that pot pass to him and he gets around the edge.
It's so physical, too.
Exactly. And then Brody McClure, it's just like a changeup, but he's a changeup with speed. You know, Trevin's fast, and then McClure gets his shoulder square to the field, and he's faster. And then you've got Gavin Baxter and Brady Basinger out there, and then I haven't even mentioned Landon Best yet. I was very impressed with them. So that's one of the best things I saw last week. And then all the scarlet and gray at Purdue, at Ross-Ade Stadium.
Were you there?
I was not. I was in Dayton.
That's right, you were.
Doing a little bit of volleyball. But, yeah, I watched the game last night, and just so impressed with 50% of that stadium was Ohio State. Now, I've been to a Purdue game at Purdue with Ohio State back in the 80s. I had my rear end on one seat, my back on the seat behind me, and my feet in the seat in front of me because nobody was there. Because they knew what was going to happen. But, yeah, just really neat.
Well, Nate, tell me what I saw this week that was the best thing.
Listen, I understand how we normally do this whole thing,
it's
but I decided this week I'm going to let you go before I go because I can't handle listening to you if I happen to say what one of yours is. I just can't do it this week.
Fair enough.
I don't have the patience, so it's all you know.
Guys, how do you go against what I'm going to say and the player I'm going to talk about? Zach Welsh from Bath.
Unbelievable.
I knew that. Zach Welsh from Bath was 20 of 26, 162 yards. By the way, not only was he good throwing the ball, 140 yards and 19 carries in a 21-0 victory. Guys, that's when you think about one player's numbers, he carried that team. And no disrespect to the rest, Mikey Hale had a good game.
Yep.
They were great defensively. Now, they've got an absolute monster of a challenge this week. Shelby comes to town, and they're going to have to play their best football they've played all year. But Zach Welsh, best thing I saw this week.
For me, I'm going back to the Columbus Grove game, and you've already mentioned him once, but I want to talk about a couple of different players on the defensive side for Columbus Grove. They had a tough task against Gibsonburg. I think a lot of people thought that might be a runaway game for Columbus Grove, and it looked like it was going to be for a little while. They struggled a little bit, wondered if it was the bye or what that might have been. But in that second half, and even in the first half, really, that defense got challenged. They were up for the task. Landon Best had 2 interceptions. They were drive killers over and over again. But I saw what I think may be the most impressive defensive play that I have seen out of a player in Columbus Grove in the first half of that Gibsonburg game. Gibsonburg, we talked about it last week in previewing the game. They run first, they run second, they run third, they run fourth. They are a running team. That's what they do. But they came out trying to throw the ball a little bit, thinking maybe they could catch Columbus Grove off guard. And they did. They went to throw the ball. Grove wasn't ready for it. They bit on the run. They had a wide receiver running 5 yards clear of the entire defense. It was a great ball. It got thrown into the air. I mean, I'm telling you, it looked like it was going to be a walk-in touchdown. And then somewhere from the other side of the field, this wasn't his responsibility. It wasn't his side of the field. I've never seen anything like it. Trevin Baxter appeared out of nowhere and was able to swat this ball away at the last second to make it an incomplete pass. At the end of the day, it goes down as an incomplete pass. It's no big deal. But I'm telling you, Trevin came from the opposite side of the field, tracked the ball, came at an angle. Nobody saw him coming, and at the last minute got his hand in there. It was a walk-in touchdown. It was going to be the easiest touchdown reception this young man has ever had. And Trevin Baxter never giving up on the play. And that just shows how we talk about his abilities in the kick return. We talk about his ability running the ball, catching the ball. It was the defensive play that I really think helped turn things for Columbus Grove. As if Gibsonburg scores there, that's a completely different first half. And the way that Gibsonburg comes out in the second half, they are running the ball at will. Grant Smith just started going off. He had 120 yards in the second half. That is a different ballgame if he doesn't make a play like that. And that just, to me, spoke volumes of Columbus Grove, why they're so good, why we've seen them go on this 8-game win streak, because they make the little plays, whether it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, and that ended up being a really big play for Columbus Grove.
And one asterisk to that play, it wasn't a floater. That
pass, it was not.
Wabi threw a line drive, and then Baxter just caught up with it. And
Never even saw him in the play.
Impressive.
We're watching it, we're calling it, and there's two defenders chasing the receiver, and he's clear of him, and then just all of a sudden there's Trevin Baxter.
It's going to be a fantastic game between them and LCC. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Sure we are.
Coming up next, you don't want to miss this. We're going to be joined by the Perry Commodores, Wyatt Taviano, the all-conference running back, and head coach Seth Evans, next here on the Three Wise Men. It's interview time here on the Three Wise Men, and the Perry Commodores are in the house. Head coach Seth Evans and running back Wyatt Taviano. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Seth, let's get right into it. Probably not the year you wanted to have, but a lot of good things to build on. Let's talk about the year, the positives, and the things you know you guys are going to get better at.
Yeah, I mean, year overall, I think we can agree that we've lost. We left a couple games out there we should have won, and overall record not the best. But if you look at all the preseason stuff, they had us at 1-9, Joe Itel and Drew Pasteur. So if you look like that, we've overachieved. But I think if you ask anybody in the locker room, we feel like we underachieved. And some things we got to get better at. We got to get better at throwing the football and being more balanced offensively. And the good part is we have 27 guys coming back next year off those roster, and including Wyatt and his senior class, which there's 8 or 9 of them, and a big sophomore class and a good freshman class. So just seeing how many 8th graders come up to try to fill out the team. So a lot of nice guys coming back, a lot of good core pieces coming back.
So one thing you don't have to get better at is running the football. This guy right here, Wyatt, congratulations on an unbelievable season. Do you know that every Friday night after the game I was calling, I would look up you guys' stats to see your yardage and your numbers and stuff. What a year you had. I mean, did you ever think that you would have this type of year?
No.
Yeah.
First of all, how would he know that? Why, how would he know what you do after your games?
I'm just letting him know.
Well, you say, hey, let me let you know after every one of my. You were like, did you know that after all my games?
Yeah, just
how would he know?
He doesn't. We were going to hit never.
He probably goes home and passes out.
Well, yeah.
Did you ever get tired? I mean, coach give you the ball 45 times in one game. Did you ever get tired?
46.
46, yeah.
No, not really.
No, you never went over to coach. Okay, coach, I think we got this one won. Sub in for me.
Did we ever have a game where we thought we were going to have
28-0 against the alma mater of Danny Holbrook.
Yeah.
Upper Scioto Valley.
Was it? What's the mentality like? I mean, because look, at the end of the day, by about week 3, I think everybody knew, all right, you know what, this is going to be the strategy. We're going to hand it off to Wyatt. We're going to let him do his thing. It doesn't matter if it's 20 carries, 30 carries, 40 carries. That's how we're going to win games. What's the mentality like for you going through the week, knowing that, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, we kind of joke and we laugh, but carrying the ball that many times in a high school football game, that's hard. You're going to take a lot of hits. You're going to have a lot of wear and tear. It's going to be tiring. What is it like for you trying to get ready for the week, getting into the mentality knowing I know that this is what's coming and I got to be ready?
I didn't really think of it much.
Yeah?
Just go out there and get what I can get.
Well, I can tell you, I listened to a couple of games on the radio, and there was one game, and I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure you guys remember. You were pretty banged up, especially in this game. And, I remember the commentator saying a couple of times, he looks like he's limping off the field. We may not see him anymore. And sure enough, next offensive possession, he's right back on there, carrying the ball 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10 times on that drive, continuing to go. It sounds like, Coach, I mean, you couldn't keep him off the field if you tried.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tough kid. If you guys watch him lift in the summertime, watch him practice, watch him do anything, he's a tough kid. He's mentally tough. He's strong. He's the ultimate competitor. If I ask him, hey, do you need a break? He's going to tell me no matter what. His leg could be falling off. And I think one time it might have been falling off. But,
it was probably that game.
I can't ask anything more of him. And I've probably asked too much of him, but it's hard not to. And he's just a heck of a football player, and he's a great kid. So,
yeah, Wyatt, your first team NWCC on offense and defense, running back and linebacker. Which is more enjoyable, a big run or a big hit?
Probably a big hit.
And why?
It just gets the energy up.
Exactly, and your teammates come around and get it going. Good.
Coach, you said you had 27 players coming back next year. How many kids? You had over 30 on the team this year, right?
Yeah.
What was the secret to getting that many kids? I mean, what's Perry graduating a year? Less than 50 kids a year, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it's right around 50, 55, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
And yet you're putting out numbers like that, and you're anticipating well over 30 next year too, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we had 9 8th graders play, so, trying to pull all 9 guys back up with our 27. So, I think I'm in the building. I think that helps too. Our coaches are fun to play for. The kids they're all friends. They're all they all want to compete. They all want to be good, and I think it's a combination of all of those things mixed with just a competitive nature that we have, and thank God we don't have soccer, so there's nothing else in the fall for them to do. So I do think it's a lot of those things that kind of come up, and we've been building this thing for a while, and Wyatt's been a part of it and his class, and I think it's each season it's just kids get more and more interested in playing.
So as you finished last year and you're getting ready in the last off season, you guys get into the summer, you're starting to get the game plan, and this is what we're going to look like this year. At what point was it like, all right, we're going to be leaning on Wyatt, and we're going to give him the ball 15 to 20 times. He's going to get 30, 35, 40 touches a game. At what point did that kind of come together, and was that a conversation you guys had? And if it was, what did you think, Wyatt, when Coach said, hey, this is what we're going to do?
I mean, he had told me like 20 carries in the off season, but we started doing scrimmages, and I just started getting the ball a lot. So,
what about you, Coach? When did you realize, hey, you know what, it's going to be more than 20?
Let's see. What was it, March that we talked about, 20 to 25? Because we knew we were going to have a new quarterback no matter what. No matter who was the quarterback, we're going to have somebody new. And then I think probably after week 2, week 3, we realized that we're going to be a 90% run team, and happened to be Wyatt was the 90%. So, we tried to mix in some other runs, and, when the kid's popping off 7 yards to carry, it's hard not to kind of give him the ball. So.
Well, and I got to just from I hadn't met you before tonight, but just from the little bit when Coach comes to you, I got to imagine you're just like, okay, and that was the end of that conversation. There wasn't much more to it. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. We'll be going through our script, and we get down to like the 5 or 10 yard line. I'll call maybe a little practice the pass play. He's like, Coach, we're inside the 10. You know that, right? I know. I got you.
Wyatt, your senior year's coming up next year. Obviously, a great junior year. What are you going to tell these young freshmen that come into this program about how hard they have to work and what they have to do to carry this on and to get this program where Coach wants it to be?
Just get in the weight room, come to practice, just have fun.
Do you like being a leader? I know we've talked about that. You're not a vocal guy, but your play on the field, absolutely. When we watch you run, we're like, wow, that kid really wants to win. Do you take pride in that?
Yeah, I do. I don't know.
4 and 6, 3 and 5 in the league this year. Much better than 1 and 9, like you said. The prognosticators in the preseason, that's where they put you. Which game would you like to have back, both of you?
I'd like to have North Central back for sure. I don't know about you. I'd like to have that week 3 game back. I think we were either their only win or one of their only wins.
12-6 loss, you're right there.
Yeah, right there. Had a chance to win it at the end. Waynesfield, like to have that one back. And probably like to have those last 2 back too. But, I think those 2, the Waynesfield one really sticks out because we had a nice lead. We had the momentum. We kind of felt like we were dominating, and then, some things happened and ended up losing that one. But, it is what it is. It can't go back now, but just try to work harder and fix the mistakes that we had.
Wyatt?
Waynesfield, definitely.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's a rivalry game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big time.
That brings me to my next question. I ask everybody on the show, Wyatt, the one team you want to beat every year worse than anybody else. And everybody's watching, Wyatt. We're big numbers. We're the number 1 show on this network on Monday nights about this stuff.
Probably Waynesfield or USV.
Okay, so I teach at Waynesfield and I graduated from USV, so thanks for being on the show. Just kidding, Wyatt. I saw some of the Waynesfield game, and I know you guys were excited about the USV game because they came in really playing good football, and you guys really took it to them. Yeah. How about you, Coach?
Who do I like to beat the most? Oh, everybody. I like to beat everybody the most. So every game's a championship game.
Well, I've got some rapid fire questions. Miles usually does the rapid fire, but he's not here tonight, so I'm going to throw these at you. All right.
All right.
On the top of your head.
You want both of us to answer?
Both of you to answer. Okay. You can start first.
All right.
And Miles asks this question all the time. Funniest guy on the team?
Jaden Lester.
Jaden.
What makes him so funny?
His personality. You can hear him from 3 hallways away. He is always talking. He's always trying to make a joke. He has a good personality. Even when he's mad, he's funny because he's just says off the wall stuff. So.
Do you like getting mad? Does that make him funny when
Yeah.
he's mad?
Yeah.
All right, we'll start with you, Wyatt. Best pregame meal you had this year?
Speedway pizza.
Is this Hardin County?
Oh, man.
Speedway pizza.
That's Allen
There's
County.
the funny inside. What game was that? Was that USV? Or Northern?
USV.
It's like first quarter, and he's close to our side. We're on our hash on our side. Then he comes over to me, and there's a timeout, and he's going, Coach. And he goes, I'm like, what? And he goes over, and I'm like, get off the field. Goes over and just pearls all over the sideline. And one of the guys went and got Speedway pizza with. Was like, he had pizza before the game, coach. Just like, oh my god.
I was about to say, I was like, you can't be mad at him.
No,
Like, it clearly works.
I'm like, are you sick? Are you hurt? He's like, no, I had pizza. I was like, oh god.
And you do that
Speedway
again
pizza.
since it was your favorite meal?
You learned from it. Greasy or what was it?
Yeah.
Doesn't taste nearly as good coming back. Yeah.
Coach, best pregame meal you had this year?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't really eat on Fridays. I stay after school all day, so
Okay, I didn't know if you guys
nothing
did like
before
it.
the game. But I mean, like team meal wise, we eat on Thursdays. So
Yeah.
I think it was Lee's. I think somebody brought in Lee's or
There
something.
you go.
Actually, no, sorry, I take that back. Best pregame meal. We have a coach every home game who brings in Bean City chicken.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's gizzards and chicken wings, Bean City.
Oh,
if you haven't
I
had
like
Bean City,
gizzards.
try it. It's fantastic.
good?
Oh yeah.
Is it really? Okay.
But Lee's famous recipe is right there.
Yeah,
you can't
Lee's
beat
is right
that.
there,
Yeah. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Peanut butter, chocolate chip.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. All right. Most hated subject in school? What?
Spanish.
See. Why?
This is the stuff we have to put up with. Like, this
No, I was just telling you I got a C in Spanish. Just, just don't like it?
No,
Don't understand it?
not
That's why
really.
you're taking it.
Are you taking it? You already took it, didn't you?
I'm in ASL.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, yeah, I already
Your
took
most
it.
hated subjects in school?
Oh, like the ones I teach, or
Back in the day.
we didn't have Spanish when I was in school. We had French, and that one was awful because I couldn't speak a lick of French, and I still can't. Yeah.
All right, last question. Who wants to go first?
Why you go first? Yeah.
Why, something about you that nobody knows that you're going to reveal tonight on the show.
What are you doing? These are the worst rapid fire.
Yeah.
We need Miles, but Miles, we miss you, Miles. Please come back. We can't let him
This
run
is
this stuff.
hard-hitting
Please.
journalism. This is hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, that's
Wait
what we
till
call
after the
this.
fact.
He's got something. I can
He
see
does?
it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, and even if he did, nobody's answering that question.
It's hard-hitting
What is
journalism.
wrong with
What's
you?
that?
Yeah, what's yours?
I shop at Bath and Body.
Everybody knows
Yeah,
that.
I said
Every
that.
people
Yeah.
spend a lot of time with you in press boxes.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you, Seth?
I don't know.
Also, nothing. He's not going to answer it
Yeah,
either.
I don't know.
What are,
Those are great questions. Thanks for having us.
Well, Wyatt, before we get you out of here, I do want to ask you. You know, your family is very athletic. A lot of sports. I mean, it's everybody has been involved in athletics. Your brother coaching over at LCC. I know him kind of through the peripheral. He's also one of my son's teachers. What's it like growing up in a family that's that competitive, that everybody's kind of involved? What do those conversations look like when you and your brother get together talking about football, especially him now being a coach and you being a player?
Oh, we just like watch film sometimes, talk it over, I guess.
Is it beneficial? I mean, do you find it like it helps? Like, you have film with your coaches, but kind of having that second eye helping you through some film?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Wyatt, best of luck
Thank
the rest of this year, baseball, and then football for next year. And, Coach, you're doing a great job out there. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Your answers aren't the best.
Yeah, thanks for those great questions, Danny. Appreciate it.
Seth Evans, Wyatt Taviano, guys, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you.
Absolutely.
Welcome back into the Three Wise Men. Gentlemen, let's take a look at the WOSN football schedule for the week. Game 1 is Friday night, Columbus Grove at Lima Central Catholic. Randy Roberts and you, Nate Garlock, on the call for this one. Grove comes in at 8-3, LCC 10-1. Grove won this first game 33-25 back on October 17th. Guys, my question to you is this. Who has the advantage in the rematch? It's a really tough question. You're talking about, you said, this is an LCC team that is 10-1, but the one in that 10-1 is Columbus Grove.
Right.
And that was a great game, it was a great matchup. Columbus Grove dominated the first half. LCC made a valiant effort in the second to get themselves back within striking distance. Trevin Baxter, who we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, makes a game-sealing interception. It was a really good back-and-forth battle. Now, who has the advantage? It's a tough question.
You've got the revenge
When you
factor,
you
you got
got
the-
all
yeah.
of those things, but you got to. Which one do you guys just think is easier? Do you think it is easier to make the adjustments to what a team was doing to slow you down, or to sustain what you were doing that was successful? It comes down to what you think is easier, I think, is who's going to give them the advantage. Is it going to be easier for LCC to make the adjustments to stop what was being successful, or is it going to be easier for Columbus Grove to sustain that success?
That's a great question, and I've had LCC 3 times on WSN against Allen East, Bluffton, and Crestview. And I had Columbus Grove the first time last Friday night on WSN. Man, I love both schools. I really am impressed with both programs. I love the offensive line of LCC, but watching the speed and the skill guys with Grove Friday night, you can talk about making those adjustments, but speed is speed. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for the T-Birds defensively.
See, I think that LCC has the advantage, and I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think when you lose a game like they did, where they know the mistakes they made, and you have the quality athletes they have, and you can win in the trenches, in theory, that's a big offensive line and a big defensive line. And if you can make those adjustments, I think the advantage is there because, A, you want to win that game, you want their revenge factor, but then you're looking at Grove, and like you said, what a season they've had after that 0-3 start. They're just fantastic. And they're battle-tested, guys. They know how to win tournament games. I think it's going to be an incredible game. I'm going to say this. I think it's going to be less than a touchdown, whoever wins.
I don't think either team's going to run away with it. I think we're going to have a really close matchup. I think it's going to be really good. I really liked what LCC did last week. LCC played with an edge against Eden. Now, that might have been because there was a little bit of bulletin board type stuff, right?
Who does that?
But it fired them up, and they played with an edge in that game against Eden that if they can find a way to sustain that and use that same type of fire against Columbus Grove, you're talking about a team that's already good up front. Now you're matching 1-for-1. There was some talk last week about whether or not LCC and speed and all. Well, they showed they had plenty of it. They have playmakers on that side of the ball too. I don't know. I think that this is going to be as good of a matchup as we are going to see for quite some time in the playoffs. I think whoever wins this game has got to be considered the favorite to at least make it into the Final Four, maybe even to a state final. There's a lot on the line on this game, and it's almost sad that it's a regional semi instead of a regional final or a state Final Four matchup. But this is as good as it's going to get this week.
Yeah. Guys, game 2, Friday night, Fort Recovery at Marion Local. Mark Shine, Jerry Snodgrass on the call. Fort Recovery, gentlemen, 7-5, Marion Local 11-0. Now, here's the thing. Marion Local beat them on October 3rd, 41-7. This is a Fort Recovery team that has lost 5 MAC games. Now, all that aside, they've made it to the 3rd round. Do they have any shot?
So it's not so much a knock on Fort Recovery as much as it just speaks to what Marion Local is doing, right? Marion Local is a large favorite in this game for a reason. Nothing against Fort Recovery. You put Fort Recovery up against a lot of other schools, and they're going to be a favorite. They're going to win. That's how they got to where that. We just talked about this. Records in the MAC are not the same as records in other conferences. They're just not. And so a 7-5 MAC school in most other matchups would be really formidable. But it's Marion Local, 75 in a row. We know what they've been doing. We know what they want to do. Yes, they've looked, not quite their dominant self at times this year, but it's the playoff. It's different. I just don't see a path for Fort Worth. Now, any Friday night, anything can happen. It's hard to see what that path to victory for Recovery will be this week.
Yeah, anytime you play a league foe in the playoffs, there are no secrets, but it just seems to be personified in this situation with the MAC. Fort Recovery, they know who Marion Local is. Marion Local knows who Fort Recovery is, and if Fort Recovery is going to have a chance, maybe there's something you can throw out there that you haven't shown or you're working on this week. But, when you get out of character, that can cost you just as easily. But that ball has points on both ends, and that's what Fort Recovery is going to have to hope for, maybe get some turnovers and keep them in it.
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot when we talk about games against Marion Local, if they're going to win, lose, whatever. When you're going to pull off an upset, we talk about this, you need things to go your way. You need penalties, you need turnovers, you need mistakes, you need things to come your way. The problem is during this run, those aren't happening. Marion Local isn't making those self-inflicted wounds. They're not turning the ball over. They're not making mistakes. They're having calls go their way, not against them. That's all the things that you need to make a recipe for an upset just aren't happening against Marion Local right now.
And they don't go out and try and do anything unique. They
Right, they
do
stay
the
with
little
themselves.
things exactly right. And that's what we were taught in the program I went through in high school. Do the little things exactly right, and everything else takes care of itself. Marion Local's the model of that.
Yeah. Do you guys think, and maybe you agree with me, this may be Tim Goodwin's best coaching job he's ever done? It's amazing with the expectation. Obviously, he has to get them fired up every year, and I think that's keeping kids excited about this after you've won and won and won. He does a great job of that. But this year, they haven't been that dominant program that we've seen undefeated.
Dominant
that just,
program.
just goes to show you how good they are,
right,
right?
right.
Where I'm questioning their dominance and they're still undefeated. I just think he's done a fantastic job.
Well, yeah, they have that banner in the corner of the end zone that says history doesn't win today or tradition doesn't win today, and they just lock into that. They believe it, and doesn't matter what happened yesterday, and it really doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. Stay in the now, focus right now, live for the today, and we'll take care of tomorrow when it comes.
We live in an era right now where they are on their own thing in this run that they are doing. They have earned the benefit of the doubt, and it is nothing against any team that is going to play against Marion Local. But until Marion Local loses, it's Marion Local.
Correct.
Game 3 Friday night, Toledo Central Catholic at Wapakoneta. Myself and Miles Holliday will be on the call from Wapakoneta High School. Toledo Central Catholic 8-4, Wapakoneta 11-0. Guys, TCC started the season out 0-3. Since then, they've won 8 of 9. I'm just telling you, this will be Wapak's toughest challenge.
Oh, yeah.
This is a roster that's littered with D1 prospects,
Yep.
and their schedule is undaunting. They play Detroit Catholic League schools. This is going to be a battle, guys.
Yeah, it's a little misleading when you look at TCC and their seeding and where they are, because they're it's kind of what we talk about with the MAC, right? Like not all records are built the same. TCC's record isn't built the same as other schools. You mentioned D1 recruits all over the place. They have 12 D1 recruits on this team, an unbelievable amount. Wapak finds themselves in a position that they're not normally in. They're the underdog, and a sizable underdog at that. Now, this is as healthy as they have been at this point of the playoffs in a few years. They got, you have guys who are really good. Caleb Moyer, with as athletic as he is, he doesn't turn the ball over. Jarrett Mullins, Caden Page. You got playmakers all over the place. Hauser on defense. I mean, they are formidable in their own right. This is a different challenge. But if you're going to go up against a challenge like this, being able to go through the Western Buckeye League and that rigor and the defenses and the players that they see, it's going to get you ready as much as anything else is going to be, and you know that Coach Moyer is going to have these guys ready to go Friday night.
Agree. I mean, Fantastic 50 has TCC as a 3-touchdown favorite. I thought that was a little extreme.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, but it speaks to the schedule they play, and Coach Moyer will have them ready to go. Just, it's going to be a tough challenge.
Absolutely. Game 4, Friday night, Pandora Gilboa at Leipzig. Dave Bowen, Jack McGuire on the call. Pandora comes in at 9-3. Leipzig 10-1. Leipzig won the first game 12-7 back on September 12th. Leipzig's only other loss was to Liberty Benton, I believe, and to, I'm missing one.
I ran their schedule
Liberty
off.
Benton, and Bluffton
yes.
is who it was. This is
I
gonna
knew
be
that.
fun.
It was just really fun to watch you struggle.
Thanks, Nate. Corey Gurton, Mark Kirkendall, two of the best quarterbacks in Northwest Ohio. Mark's a sophomore, Corey's a senior. These guys can sling it.
Yeah, I've not seen either team live. Looking forward to that one this Friday on WOSN. But you're right, Chase Myers as well for
Pandora,
PG,
yeah.
Mr. Everything, and then some relationships with both schools. Competed against them on the basketball court as a coach. PG, the mentality they bring, it's just very impressive. They're throwback to me, and that's what we're seeing right now, the kind of season they're having. But Leipzig and Coach Kirkendall, I've gotten to know him over the years. He'll have that team ready to go. I don't see 12-7. Both offenses have improved
So much
since the
better,
beginning of the season. So I see this one being a shootout, and it's going to be a lot of fun to call.
Yeah, this is a Pandora Gilboa team that I think right now is as hot as they have been in a really long time. They're playing great football right now. 62 points last week against the number 2 seed in the region, North Baltimore, as they came in with a big victory there. Now, the defense, they gave up over 40 in that one, but that was a really good North Baltimore team, a really good offense. But they're just firing all cylinders right now. And when you have a quarterback like Pandora has, Wayne Gurton, and when you have the receivers and you can match it with a running game as well, that is a really tall task or a really difficult task for a defense to try to stop. You look on the other side of the ball, though, another really good quarterback in Kirkendall. You have to be torn at this point. I don't know that you know what you're going to do. Both of those quarterbacks are on the board.
Yeah, they're on the board.
And I don't know how you're even handling this week.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. They're both on the crush list. And look, I had Pandora 2 weeks ago, and Corey, I've said it, and I'm going to continue saying it. How that kid is not being recruited by whoever, it doesn't matter. He has everything you want in a quarterback. He can move in and out of the pocket. He has an absolute cannon for an arm. I love everything about him. And then you got Mark Kirkendall, the sophomore, who may be going to be, by the time he's a senior, everybody's recruiting this kid. I think it's going to be a fantastic, and nothing against anybody. Those two coaches are fantastic.
Oh, sure.
They're fantastic. I've covered these guys for the last couple of years. Every time I go watch them play, they're ready, they're disciplined, they play hard, there's no quit. I think this is going to be a great matchup. I'm with you guys. I don't think it's going to be a 12-7 game.
No, and obviously, anytime you get into a rematch, it's like what we talked about with our other two rematches this week. Very familiar with one another. Scheming becomes different. How are you going to make adjustments, in-game, pre-game, all of those types of things. But again, this is a Pandora team that almost feels like there's a little bit extra written into them, right? They get the big win to start the season against Columbus Grove. That was a big thing for them. They had a couple of missteps during the season, but they're playing fantastic here in the playoffs. This is also a Lipstick team, though, that kind of feels like they have some unwritten work to get done as well, right? Last year, we have the injury to Kirkendall when they were playing really good. People thought Lipstick could make some noise. He gets injured. They end up, out of the playoffs. He's healthy. So both of these teams feel like they have fate or destiny or whatever working in their favor right now, and that makes for an electric matchup. Should be an absolutely great game. The winner of that game then has to take on, in the regional final, the winner of that LCC Grove game. So it doesn't get any easier for anybody, and that's what makes this time of the year so great.
Guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Diamond Dave's going to break down the state volleyball finals. That and so much more right here on the Three Wise Men. Welcome back into the Three Wise Men. We're going to change gears a little bit. We're going to bump Seth and Spike. Dave, you were down at the state volleyball finals this weekend. A great weekend for OHSAA.
Great weekend. Was able to cover Division I and Division V, the Final Four and the state championship games, and just a lot of great volleyball. And D1, that's the top of the list, and they bring the hitters. And we have a lot of girls in this area that are recruited to go to the next level, but those players at that level, man, they are being recruited, and they are being recruited to play in that position. Like a lot of our big hitters, when they go to the big level or the top level Division I, they end up playing back row, libero, and again, Spencer Etzler from Coldwater's did an outstanding job out at Stanford. But just a great tournament to go call D1 and D5. But let's take a look at all divisions. Division 7, the Calvert Senecas, they come away with the state championship.
Surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Diana Kramer back in August told me, Dave, Calvert's going to win D7, and she was right. Newark Catholic, they win D6, and they had to go through New Bremen and St. Henry. And if you go through New Bremen and St. Henry, you've earned it.
You deserve it.
Yes. Yeah. And it was a reverse sweep against New Bremen, so you really feel for the Cardinals. They were up 2-0, and then Newark Catholic, they're back against the wall, they responded, but in St. Henry, Newark Catholic just was not going to be denied. They took them 3-0. D5, the Lake Catholic Cougars out of Cleveland, their 4th state championship in a row. Wow. We had a chance to call that match. Anna Bergant, she had 42 kills in the Final Four, 420 kills on the season, and she was so fun to watch because not only was she fundamentally sound and very talented, very businesslike. She'd get a kill and she'd turn to her teammates and say, "Let's go, give me the next one." And it was just very impressive, her attitude out there on the court.
Do we know where she's going to college?
No. Yeah, we do.
I stumped you.
But I don't have it. I'm not sure, but I think maybe Florida Southern. Okay, so big time for her. D4, Cincinnati Archbishop McNicholas won. D3, Tip City Tippecanoe down south of us. They went undefeated this year. D2, Avon. They defeated Anthony Wayne in the state championship match. And then D1, Seton out of Cincinnati. They go 28-0, and they ran the table, obviously, with that record. And they just had so many weapons. They ran a 6-2, so they had 2 setters, and both setters had the equal amount of assists basically throughout the entire season and also in the tournament. And that's somewhat unique. You usually have one that sort of leads the way and the other one follows a little bit, but they were diverse with their 2 setters, and they just had a plethora of hitters. They could come at you from every which way, and it was so impressive with what they did. 28-0. The Slusher girl for them was their leading hitter, and again, she's a senior. She's not going anywhere that I'm aware of, but man, she was just very, very impressive all the way around. The girl that is going somewhere that was impressive was in D5 from the Summit Country Day Silver Knights, and her name is Kendall Northern. She's going to Penn State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 6'2", outside hitter, very, very impressive. They were defeated in the Final Four by Lake Catholic in the semifinals, but she was really, really good, and I could see why Penn State wanted her, and she's going to do a good job there. We did get a notification during the game from the Dayton International Airport because they were picking her up on the radar because she was jumping so high.
Dave, these girls at these bigger schools, Division I, II, and III, are these multi-sport girls?
No.
Or are they just, I thought about that when I heard you talking this weekend on the radio, and I thought, I wonder if these girls are just playing volleyball.
Yeah, when you get to that level, the D1 level, you have to specialize. It's very, very challenging to play other sports because you've got the club volleyball starting up right when the season's over, and it goes through the winter, and then of course you're back with your team in July and then getting prepared for the regular season. So no, you're locked into that sport, and that's why you really see the D1 matches. They just are at a different level. You know, we did the D1 Final Four, and then we did the D5 Final Four. And again, both levels very impressive, but you could definitely see the difference in talent.
Good crowds, good student sections.
Yes, Vandalia Butler High School hosted the Final Four. Yeah. It was very loud in there. The fans were right behind us and on both sides of the court, and that was really neat to see and be a part of. And then being at the Nutter Center, yeah, it's bigger, it's a little more cavernous. It sort of swallowed everybody up, but it's a really neat location. They treat you right.
So, you know, volleyball season over, we're through the state finals. As you look back over the volleyball season, you saw a lot of teams, you got to see a lot of games. What team, and it didn't, you know, just because you win a state title doesn't, I mean, that's obviously very impressive, but what is the team that you saw this year that impressed you the most, whether it's because of how they won or just maybe how they played, you know, the cohesiveness, whatever it may be? Who was the most impressive to you this year?
Well, I really liked what I saw as far as improvement from New Bremen. At the beginning of the year, as I said, I talked to Diana Kramer, and she talked about Calvary, but she talked about her team as well and said, we got a long way to go. And I saw them early on against Crestview in August, and she was right. They were good, but they were not what you usually think of when you think of New Bremen volleyball. But by the end of the year, when I had them against St. Henry, I knew what she was talking about. She saw what that team could do, and they really, really got better. And I was a little surprised. Obviously, Newark Catholic, very, very special to win it all and go through New Bremen and St. Henry. But I would have put some money on the Cardinals to get it done this year.
That's great stuff, Dave. All right, guys, let's change it back to football again. And it's time for our Stolly Sensational Player of the Week and our Power 5 teams. We're going to let you go first, Nate, so I can make sure that we don't have to
take mine.
You can just steal all of my stuff like normal.
Exactly.
All right. So this week for my Stolly Sensational Player of the Week, I went back to that LCC Eden game we talked about. They played with an edge. They just seemed a little bit extra with that bulletin board material and things like that. And they came out of the game firing on all cylinders, especially this player, Michael Quatman. He went for 215 yards through the air. He had 4 touchdowns. I've been impressed with him all year long. Yeah. You know, just with the way that he plays and the way that other teams, tried to avoid him on the defensive side of things and then what he can do on the offensive side of things. I think sometimes he gets lost in the shuffle over there at LCC, doesn't quite get the attention that maybe he deserves to get. But when you look at a game like he had against Eden, it is really hard to deny him. He was able to get behind the defense on a lot of big plays. He did things out a bunch of swing passes, and then he recognizes the mistakes that the defenses are making, and he made Eden pay doing that a few times. A great game for him, big numbers, like I said, 215 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. My Stolly Sensational Player of the Week. And for my Power 5 teams, listen, we already talked about it in the
same ones for the last 8 weeks.
It's not going to change. Marion Local, they're at number 1, Walpock 2. I got Coldwater at 3. The way that they are playing right now and the games that they are having, they are just looking more and more impressive every single week. So they are into my Power 5. I have LCC there, and I got a new one. Listen, you put 62 points up on the number 2 team in your region, and you move on, you deserve a spot in my top 5, and that goes to Pandora Gilboa.
The Rockets. All right, Dave, we'll let you go next.
Well, I'm going to go back to our game Friday night, Columbus Grove and Gibsonburg. And maybe stat-wise, this player didn't stand out, but what I saw from Columbus Grove and this particular player with leadership and how he ran the offense, and then he had those 2 interceptions on defense that you alluded to earlier, Nate, I'm going to go with Atlanta Best. I really just thought he was very impressive, and I expected him to be that. He's a senior now. He's been a quarterback for a couple of years at Columbus Grove, but expecting it and seeing it can be 2 different things, and he just did a great job. 10 for 14 throwing the football. He had a rushing touchdown, and Nate and I both took note. Grove really likes to work the edge, but when they get in the red zone, they show that look going to the edge, and then Best just runs straight up the middle, and all the defense is scattered out because they're expecting that play to the edge, and then he just trots into the end zone. So just very impressed with Grove as a whole, and Best is my sensational player of the week.
Your top 5.
Top 5, very close. Marion Local, Coldwater, Wapak, Columbus Grove, LCC.
Sounds good. Guys, my Stolly Sensational Player of the Week is not a person. It is a unit. And you'll be like, hey, once I give you the unit, I'm telling you, no, stop.
I thought about that too.
Yep, stop.
Going with the unit, but I get it. I didn't want Nate's reaction.
All year, it has been player. Last week, I decided to do a unit, and now all of a sudden you do a unit this week. Imagine that.
Good TV.
Imagine
good TV.
that.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Guys, Liberty Benton's defense, they held Norwayne to 1 yard rushing.
No, you're
1 yard rushing.
you're right. That's
pretty good.
They got 1 yard rushing, 2 interceptions, and 4 turnovers, and a shutout, 38-0. Guys, we talk about the games in this area, and Liberty Benton's kind of on the fringe area out there. They're playing Liberty Center in what may be the biggest game of the week in the state this Friday night. Those 2 teams are absolutely dominant. Can't wait for that game.
Well, and we're just real quick on that matchup. If you don't know much about Liberty Benton or the past few years in the history, Liberty Center has been their kryptonite.
Yep.
The Liberty Benton has looked phenomenal in their matchups leading up to that game. They're blowing teams out. They look fantastic. They get to that Liberty Center game, and Liberty Center is a dominant team in D5. They are phenomenal. That is a tough matchup. Liberty Benton, they're looking for some revenge. This is a get-back game for them, but it is not going to be easy.
And they're not just losing those games. They're getting beat pretty bad by Liberty Center. That's a good Tiger football team. And if you've ever been up there to do a game, which I have, it's a great atmosphere, great place to do a game. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys, let's take a look at our Buckeye of the game. The Buckeyes beat Purdue 34-10. Who is the Buckeye for the game? We'll start with you, Nate.
So for me, this was actually pretty easy. You start reading a lot of the publications that were coming out across the country, and when you get this type of attention and this type of movement after the game that you had, it's easy for me to pick some. Arvell Reese, and in a lot of publications as you read, after that game on Saturday, a lot of pro scouts have moved him to their number 1 overall player on their draft board. When you can have a game, and it's been a few weeks now, right? We've been seeing consistency out of him. He's been dominant. You hear his name all over the place. But he is playing at a clip right now where it is gaining a lot of attention from the NFL and from the NFL scouts in those rooms. And based off of his performance on this last week, they have finally moved him up their draft board so high. They said there's a lot of teams right now that value him as their number 1 overall on their big board. And I think that speaks volumes to what he's doing right now.
Dave?
I'm going to ask for your thoughts on where I'm going to go with this. I just felt like the running backs ran with more purpose than we've seen up to this point in time this year. I thought there was a really good focus of between the tackles, we're going to attack the defense, and they ran over some guys.
Yeah, I thought Bo Jackson, he had a breakaway there.
Yeah,
in the
they
first quarter,
called it back
Called
on
it
a
back. I did.
weak
I thought,
penalty,
yeah,
I thought.
I thought the offensive line, I thought they went in with a purpose to work on some things.
Correct.
And I thought they got away with some good things. Now, I think they still need to work. I think the offensive line, and people are going to probably be mad about it, it's a little overrated at times. That offensive line has some work to do.
They do.
Especially with Tegre Teshabola. I'm kind of concerned about him. Josh Padilla being hurt. Austin Servold was hurt a little bit. I think it's a great unit. I think it could be fantastic, and I think we're going to see as the playoffs come around, I think you're going to see that offensive line get leaned on. But to me, I hope I'm selling them right.
Do you agree, Nate? I mean, I thought the
it's
running
not that-
backs
it's not
ran with
that
more
I-
purpose.
Yeah, it's not that I disagree with you. It's just you're still waiting for the running backs to be Ohio State running backs, if that makes sense. And I think when you look at this team, if there is one thing right now that I feel like will cost us a national championship, is going to be the lack of our ability to run the football with consistency.
That and special teams. It's got me
Did we
I
have the
just
same
think-
thing last year? Did we have the same thing last year, though, with Henderson and Judkins? They could do it,
I don't think so. I mean, I
but
felt
we
like
didn't give it to
They're
them.
both 1,000-yard backs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I
Yeah.
just think right now you see flashes, like you said, Bo Jackson
Is that the
2 weeks
youth?
ago had the long run, made the final numbers look a little bit better. That run that he had in the first half doesn't get called back. It's going to make the running numbers look a little bit better,
absolutely.
right? So some of this is you have to take it as the picture of the whole, but it's just when you watch them run, you're just waiting for them to dictate, and they don't dictate. It gets difficult to win games when you start to move to this point of the season, when you're talking about November and December football, especially college football in this new era of college football, if you have to pass first, run second. Now, Ohio State can do it. We have
Correct.
the best. We
Correct.
have the best passing game in the country, in my opinion. We have skill players all over the place, so it can be done. But it's dangerous to live on that edge, and I just keep waiting on the running backs to take over.
And I will say this, Dave, if you've ever been to Ross State Stadium, and I know you have, they let the grass grow a little bit longer when
Yes,
the Buckeyes
they-
come to
yep,
town.
yes,
I'm just
they
going to be
do.
honest with you.
Holy
And-
Buckeye.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I- no, those are clear. I could have swore they were scarlet color. My goodness. My goodness.
Oh,
Next.
God. Yeah. Guys, for me, it was Jeremiah Smith, 10 catches, 137 yards. I was worried. Miles texted me in the first quarter, and he's doing a volleyball game. He goes, hey, I just heard on the radio, Carnell Tate's not playing. I'm like, everything's good, just precautionary, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeremiah Smith was like, you know what? I'm going to get me 10 catches this week because my buddy's not on the other side. Brandon Ennis was fine. I mean, we got some other guys involved, but everybody knew the game plan. And with a quarterback like Julian's saying, yeah, that's my Buckeye of the week. He was fantastic. He just continues. You know, a lot of guys, when they get to the top, and a D1 athlete, when you get to Ohio State, sometimes you see guys kind of rest on their laurels. You hear the coaches talk about him. He's first at practice. He stays the latest. He's hardest worker in the weight room. He knows exactly what he wants in life, and he's going for it. I love the kid. I think he's going to walk away as the best we've ever seen.
Well, let me ask you this, because we've seen in years past, you've had wide receivers that have been phenomenal at other programs, at Ohio State, other places. They get into year two. They're still putting up numbers. Everybody loves them. They're falling in love with talking about how they're going to be this fantastic pro. It's all going to translate. And then that's when we start seeing the things like, well, we want to go to the NFL now. Or there start to be issues. Or they're sitting not as much as they're playing and all these things. You don't see that out of Jeremiah Smith.
No.
Now, I don't know Jeremiah Smith personally. I don't know anything about his person. I don't know about his character. I don't know about the people that he surrounds himself with. But he just continues to play football at a high clip. Now, do you think that that's because that's who Jeremiah Smith is? Or do you think that we're seeing some of the benefits finally of an NIL, where you don't have a receiver who's like, well, listen, I need to get to the next level now because I need to make money, because he's making plenty of money in his NIL deal.
He has an NFL body. Every coach that I've heard talk about him talks about his dedication, his commitment to the weight room, his commitment to practice, his commitment to off-the-field stuff. He's not going to get in trouble. This is a kid that knows exactly what he's wanting, and he's been raised the right way. I don't think –
Because I got to be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really care which one it is, because he's fantastic at what he does. He continues to do it at a high level. You don't see him taking plays off. No. Now, it doesn't really matter what the rationale behind that is. It's just – we talk so much about how NIL is a bad thing. Is this one of the times that we can talk about why NIL might work.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
I think so. I think you can, because again, you're not like, I got to go out and get mine so I can get mine.
Right.
And I'm getting mine now, and I think that comes into play. And then I also just think that Ryan Day and Ohio State, the coaching staff, they have just done an outstanding job of relaying the message. You do what you need to do to make the team better, and you will get rewarded for that.
Yeah, I think the culture that they've made too. Don't fool yourself if you don't think somebody's not trying to reach out to Jeremiah Smith to say, look, come play with us your last year. I can get you a contract for X amount of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just the sleazy part
Look
of
at all the
college.
stuff that we heard in the offseason after they won the national title
Correct.
about all the stuff around
Correct.
Jeremiah. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm good.
Yeah. Guys, what's it say about the potential of this team when they win easily in, let's be honest, a lackluster game? By the middle of the third quarter, we're all sitting around going, you want to go to dinner tonight, babe? What are we doing?
Lackluster. I know. I had to watch it yesterday because I wasn't able to on Saturday. But yet, again, I just give kudos to Coach Day and the staff. We don't want to. I think about John Cooper, and we're blowing teams out 60-0 and 50-14, and then we play that team up north, and we get into a slobber knocker, and we don't know where to go to. And I feel like every game, and I think the coaching staff sits down in the summer and just maps out how do we want this chapter to look. Each week is a chapter. This is what we want to work on, so we're ready down the stretch for anything that can be thrown at us. And I thought they intentionally played slow Saturday. I mean, offensively, they talked about, they put a graphic up there, how many fewer plays Ohio State's running on offense to the average to
Which
in
goes
college.
back to your talk about getting the offensive line involved. And
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
This is the day, or this Saturday, we're going to focus. I know you got to look at your opponent, but I just think there's so many variables at Ohio State, the coaching staff, that they are attacking that most programs can't do that because they don't have the talent that Ohio State does. And they're not able to, they just got to focus on how are we winning today. And that is the main thing. That is the main thing. How do we win today? But we got to have an eye on how to prepare for tomorrow too.
So I hope so. I hope that's the case. Because you talk about, we talk about Indiana, right? A team like Indiana and how they've risen to the number 2 team in the country. They don't have the toughest schedule. How have they gotten there? Well, it's because if you look at their scores, they look really impressive in their wins, even against bad teams or against teams, on the fringe top 25, teams like Illinois. You put up all these points. And you look at Ohio State, and they're not doing that same type of thing. But when you heard the College Football Playoff Committee talking, it was actually the defense that has made them believe they're the number 1 team in the country. So that's great. But if the defense has an off night, you need your offense to pick you up. Now, I'm not saying that that will happen. I'm not saying that the defense won't hold. They have been phenomenal. There's no reason I think they won't be. My hope is as we move into the final regular season game, that Big Ten championship, college football playoff games, that we start seeing the offense and the defense playing at the same level and the same clip. All these games have been good. They've been able to do the things that they've done. I have no complaints about this Ohio State team. I had a lot last year, so maybe we all should be concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should be concerned.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where, I would like to sit down and watch them play a team like Purdue with 2 wins and put up 55 points and be like, all right, we can win this way too. That's fine, But, again, what does that really matter? Ultimately, we also won a national championship winning every game by a point, back in the day too. So, yeah.
And Nate, you talk about the schedule that Indiana's played, and you said it's soft. I'm going to go there. I think Ohio State's schedule, I know Texas is back in the top 10 now, but I think you can compare the schedule to your pillow that you put your head down on. It's been pretty soft. And that concerns me.
Yeah, sure. And that's kind of a two-edged sword there because it's Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State have been the flag bearers for so long, and you sometimes expect the rest of the teams to pick their games up, and we're just not seeing it. Now, we did see Iowa give Oregon a good game this weekend. Penn State did play better against Indiana, but
Wisconsin beats
Washington, which was bizarre.
It doesn't help.
It does not help.
Guys, Carnell Tate did not play this week. Some other players kind of set out. Was it a good week? I think it was a good idea. Look, if they're not 100%, not to be arrogant or braggadocious, but why play him?
Well, no, I agree. I mean, you should. This is why you build the depth. That's why you recruit. Hopefully when you're a program like Ohio State, you have that kind of depth, right? It's not like maybe other programs where they got to make sure everybody's out there if they want to have a chance. Ohio State can afford that put out second and third string guys at times, and we'll see what's going on with Tate. I haven't heard anything official. I know they said he felt something in warm-ups, and they kept him on the sideline.
I think he'll be fine.
But I mean, I have no issue with it. You know, that's what the depth is there for. Got some guys out there that got some good minutes that maybe otherwise wouldn't.
I got two thoughts. First of all, my JFK conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Jeremiah Smith has been open a lot in other games. Julian Sands going to Tate.
He has been.
Coach Day said, "You're not going to go to him now because I'm not going to let him play. You got to throw it to Smith."
Seems like a wild thing. Seems like a wild take.
And
I gotta be honest with you. That is a wild take.
The other piece, and again, I've gone here before, I think it's a recruiting piece. Okay, you want to go to the next level. We want to help you get there, and we're going to take care of you. Look at Carnell Tate. We could have played him in the Purdue game. We didn't because he was just off a little bit, and we want to make sure all our guys are 100%. We will not play you if you're not healthy.
Which may have something to do with it because the Buckeyes today got a commitment from a kid whose numbers are off the chart. A 4.3 40, his bench, his vertical, and they compared him. He would finish like 7th, 8th, and 9th in the NFL Combine this year. So you may,
What's his name?
I can't
Okay,
remember what it was.
fair
I was just
enough.
reading about it this morning. All right, guys, Davison Igbinosun, who's been solid this year, we know from last year he had some issues with pass interference. He hasn't done that a lot.
He just got another flag, guys.
He hasn't had as many this year, but do we think it's going to continue? Because I believe it's going to cost us sometime, but hopefully it's not in a big spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. He has looked a lot better. You know, last year I think it was a much bigger issue than it has been this year. He's clearly been coached up. He's doing a much better job taking that coaching. Look, you're going to see PIs. It's going to be, it is what it is. As long as this doesn't become a theme now that he's gotten one and it's kind of gotten some attention, does it get into his head? He start getting the yips. We see PIs kind of like we did last year. I think he'll be fine. But, you know, we know he has a history of this.
Well,
it's
look,
not great.
I've only coached basketball. I've never coached football.
I'm with
But
you.
would somebody explain to me, please, and maybe I'm wrong, why defensive backs will not turn and find the football? Why are they coached up to not look for the football?
I'll tell you,
Someone
it seems
please
super
tell
easy,
me.
right? You make it seem like it's so simple.
was gonna
I'll tell
say.
you, if you are a Division I or a high school DB and you'd like to come on and prove Danny wrong,
I'm not saying it's
you
wrong.
can send us an email. Here's our email right here. Somebody will hold up the
Here we
email.
go.
It's a
Along
real
with
email
questions.
address. Email and tell Danny why he is wrong, and it's
I
not
know
as
you'll
easy as
lose
he
a
seems to
step, and I
think.
get it, but to me, I'm like, turn around and find the ball. Don't tell me you
Of
haven't thought of
course
that,
you
Dave.
are.
You've thought about it.
And you know how closely he's guarding guys, and I thought at Purdue there were a couple times he had his arms wrapped around. I think he's single, and he's showing the girls how he likes to slow dance. Nate, what do you think?
Yeah,
Hey, come on, you say I'm corny. That's as
I
corny
just
as it
made Nate
gets.
Garlock speechless,
I mean,
and I
you
would
know,
like credit for that.
it's not that I'm speechless. It's just we're on TV.
Guys who made it more of a case for their Heisman Trophy speech, Julian Sand or Jeremiah Smith?
So I think it's saying, but I don't. Can someone explain to me why the Indiana quarterback after that game became the favorite? What did he do in that game besides save his team from a terrible
Penn State,
loss
right?
against Penn State?
He didn't have a great game.
He
He had to
didn't.
make a fourth quarter
But
comeback.
for some reason, that moved him into being the favorite over Sane. I thought Sane had another very efficient game. I thought he looked good. He controlled the game. He did what he needed to do. He was down one of his wide receivers, so he found the other really good wide receiver. He did what he needed to do. I think ultimately, at this point, we all know the Heisman is a quarterback award.
It's going to go.
That's going to
it's
go
gonna
to
go
the
to one of
team
those
that
two guys.
has the best
Or
team
one of those
in
three,
the
yeah.
country. To me, Julian Sane has looked the best in that situation. Sometimes I wonder, and this is me falling into this conspiracy stuff with you guys. I think I just spend too much time with you guys. Yes. But sometimes I wonder if the Heisman Trophy voters look around the room and they say, "Ooh, that guy's only a sophomore," or "Oh, that guy's young. If we give him the Heisman Trophy this year, he's got 2 more years." And Archie Griffin is looked at in such reverence, and what he did, winning back-to-back Heisman trophies and being so good and so dominant and every bit deserving of those awards. I wonder sometimes if that starts creeping into people's mind, like, man, if we give it to this young guy, he's got 2 more years to win another one, and he's not Archie Griffin. We don't want to put him in that same breath.
Interesting.
I think talking heads on the big networks, I think they all want to be right. I think they want Fernando Mendoza to be their guy. I called it. I said it. But you can't stack these numbers up against each other. Julian Sands' numbers are historic.
They are historic.
Guys, he's 80%. It's unbelievable. He was 27 of 33 for 303 yards. He hadn't had a pass picked off in 173 attempts. That's Bernie Kosar stuff. I know you know who Bernie Kosar is. But, I mean, I'm telling you guys, I don't think it's going to matter this year because I think the winner of the Indiana-Ohio State game, if it happens in the Big Ten Championship, I think that's your front runner for the Heisman.
I think you're right. I think the Alabama quarterback still will have a case of saying all this. If Alabama
he's
runs
really good.
And if Alabama runs the table and they win the SEC, we also know how well the national media loves the SEC and everything SEC like. So if Alabama runs the table, they win the SEC title, he puts up good numbers. I think he could have something to say about that as well. And ultimately, I think what will hurt Julian Sand the most when this all is said and done is that he's a sophomore.
But here's the thing. If Julian Sand doesn't transfer, Ty Simpson's not beating him out at Alabama. He's not.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, getting back to the original question, who has advanced their case more for the Heisman, Sand or Smith? I'll hang with me here a little bit because you're right. Saints got the numbers, and let's go back to the play, the IU Penn State play, Mendoza to Cooper. If that's Sand to Smith, who's getting more publicity out of that play?
Probably Smith.
Exactly. You have the gravity of Jeremiah Smith, and he just is that athlete, and he had a couple other great catches on Saturday as well. But when I think of Sand, what's that moment? What does he do? He's not a dual threat quarterback.
No, not really.
Not really. But you're right. His percentage points, 80%, that is just phenomenal. And we're going to expect that as fanatical Ohio State fans all the time from every quarterback. Yeah. And it's really unrealistic what he's doing. It's phenomenal.
I think what has hurt him the most when it comes to this conversation is he got off to a little bit of a quote-unquote slow start.
Just because there was a progression.
Right. They were easing him into the playbook. When they started to open the playbook, we started to see the big numbers. But because of how he started, he got labeled very early as a game manager. And because he's just kind of unassuming, right, I guess is a good word for him, he just goes about his business. He throws, a lot of completions. He backs up the yards. But he doesn't get looked at as like he's this major quarterback. Now, I'll argue with you is that wasn't a great throw by Mendoza.
No,
that was more of a one in 100 type catch that his receiver had to get both those feet down when he did.
But if that's Jeremiah Smith making that catch, you're handing him the trophy now.
Potentially.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Guys, was it a good thing that Indiana beat Ohio State? I don't
beat Penn State.
Penn State.
100%. You don't, for Ohio State's sake, you don't want the lackluster to come off that Big Ten championship game. You need Ohio State to be undefeated. You need Indiana to be undefeated. You can allow a close game like this. It seems like every year top teams have one of these games where it should be a cakewalk. You're still talking about a Penn State game that has athletes and players and talent all over the field. It's just been a disaster in the coaching area. So, yes, you can live with a close result here, but Indiana losing that game would have been really bad for Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad IU won. But having said that, I'm going to make the analogy back to Rocky III. I just feel like Indiana's sitting out there as Clubber Lang. They want a piece of us, and I've talked about Ohio State's schedule at this point in time. They concern me big time.
They do concern me to a point, but when I look at the rosters and I stack them up player for player, I just have a hard time believing that they can score enough points to beat us against our defense.
Aren't they the number one rushing team?
Well, that's because they haven't rushed against us.
No, that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
And you can say, well, they went to Outson and they beat Oregon. But you look at Oregon's schedule, and it's as soft as the Buckeyes and Indiana's. It's really soft. Oregon had trouble beating a 6-3 Iowa team this week. I don't know, we can compare all that stuff all the time, but I think it's going to be a great game if it happens. Now, obviously, Ohio State has to get by the next three opponents, but it'll make a great story. Plus, it's going to be in Indiana or Indianapolis,
right?
Exactly. So anything can happen. Yeah. Guys, join us next week. It is show number 50. Are you kidding me? 50 shows.
How have we not been canceled?
I know, right? How have we not been canceled for something? Miles will be back next week. Dave, thanks for sitting in this week.
It's been great.
Absolutely.
I've loved it.
Absolutely. You've been watching The Three Wise Men.